What's up everyone, Tom here. I go by Diagnardi. I'm here to answer some questions that you guys had about my EP and just about music and stuff in general, so let's jump right to it. So the first question is, where did the inspiration for the lyrics come from, or like how do you think of good lyrics for a song? It always starts with something that's going on in my own life or like an emotion that I'm having. 100% always has to start like that. And I don't really think I do a good job of hiding it either. I'm pretty forward about what the song topic is within the lyrics. Like I'm not super metaphorical or anything. I'm usually writing about something that's kind of stressing me out, or maybe something that, I don't know, went wrong. For some reason, I'm more inspired to write about like problems than like positive things, but honestly that's something I'm kind of trying to change a little bit maybe for the future. I also think the mark of like a good lyric is just something that makes you think, something that stops you and that you're like, wait, I need to chew on this for a second. Whether it's because it's worded really interestingly, or maybe it's just something that's super honest and super real. That's something I'm always trying to inject in my lyrics because it's something that I notice that I like in other artists. But yeah, it always has to come from a really real place for me, and it's something that's like going on in my life at that moment. The next question is, did you have fun writing Old Dude, and how did you come up with the concept for the song? I had a lot of fun writing Old Dude. I came up with the idea for the song, I think I was out driving and I looked to my left at like a red light and I saw an old dude chilling in his car, and it was just a really nice car and he just looked so relaxed, and I was like, man, that looks great. You know, like he doesn't appear to be worried about money, or he's not worried about like drama with his friends. He's just kind of chilling. And in that moment, I just thought that being old kind of looked fun. And obviously there are disadvantages to being old, like you're about to die. But I thought it would be fun to write a song that kind of romanticized all the little cute positive things about being old. So I remember sitting there like trying to think of like, okay, what do old people do? They play bingo. Okay, that's cool. They go on trips with their grandkids. They like drink prune juice. I was just trying to think of all like funny little things that old people do that would make for like an interesting lyric. In the writing process, what normally came first, the music or the lyrics? That's a good question. For me, it usually starts with music. Some sort of riff or a vocal melody maybe with no words, or even just like a chord progression or a sound. Could be a lot of different things, but it has to start with something musical usually for me to get excited. I'm really like an instrument person. I got into music through instruments and playing guitar and drums. Nothing hypes me up and inspires me more than like a good riff or something. However, the lyric is very important, because if that musical idea doesn't get paired with some sort of lyrical idea pretty soon, it can die. So sometimes I'll be out and about and I'll have like an idea for a song, or maybe like even just a lyric or something. When I get home, I'll try and piece it with some sort of musical idea that I have laying around and see if I can make something work. And then if I can get something that clicks, the song can propel. That's exactly how For Good happened. I had like the music written, the vocal melody and everything, but just no topic yet. And then I stumbled upon the topic and made it happen. So it usually starts with the music for me, and then the lyric kind of takes it across the finish line. Do you choose to write in specific keys for dramatic effect? That's a cool question. I would say I don't do that, though I do have keys that I love to write in, or that I love to listen to. F minor, Simple Life is in F minor. E major, For Good is in E major. So I definitely have favorite keys, and I'm a little bit of a nerd about like music theory stuff like that. But I do try and write in some different keys to kind of spice it up. I think every song on the EP is actually in a different key. Some of them are close to each other, but yeah. At what age did you start making music? I would say I started playing music when I was around 12 or so, and it only took me about a year to start writing my own music. So when I was 13, I started writing riffs and piecing song ideas together, but I wasn't much of a lyric or vocal writer. Around 16, I think I started writing lyrics and vocals. And then it wasn't until recently, like maybe 4 or 5 years ago when I was about 22, 23, that I really started writing songs, you know, where I was using music as an emotional support system, expressing my own thoughts, fears, and putting that into words along with my own music. Like that didn't really happen until a few years ago, actually. So I've been having a lot of fun with that. And I'm super grateful that you guys are along for the journey and kind of like watching me discover myself. Did you use guitar plugins, or did you mic a cab? How did you do the guitar tone? So I get this question quite a bit. I actually do none of that, I use what's called a Kemper. It's an amp profiler. And for those that don't know, an amp profiler like the Kemper mimics the tone of real amps. So I have hundreds of different amps that are digitally saved into this system here. And it's really convincing. The Kemper in particular is really popular for being able to properly emulate tons of guitar amps and tons of effects. I was using guitar plugins. I tried miking cabs. I've tried it all and I was just never happy. So I decided to just end the search and get the Kemper because it kind of just does the job no matter what that job is. So yeah, that's what all the guitar tones are on the EP. They're from my Kemper. Next question is bands that influenced you growing up and like what are your biggest influences and artists that you like now? Growing up, I loved metal and rock. Guns N' Roses and Iron Maiden were like two huge bands. This is 4. They were 2 huge bands for me when I got into guitar and music in general. After that, I got into heavier stuff like Avenged Sevenfold and Dream Theater, progressive stuff like Dream Theater and Protest the Hero, and then Periphery, who is still one of my favorite bands. So just a lot of metal. Hard, crazy technical stuff. I just couldn't get enough of it. In the past like 5 or 6 years, I would say I branched out quite a bit. And now I kind of enjoy everything and I find inspiration in a lot of different genres. Like in pop music, the production is always really interesting. So groups like AJR and even like solo artists like Ariana Grande or Dua Lipa or, people like that, they always have great production and like interesting sounds, I love singer-songwriter stuff like Ed Sheeran, Lizzie McAlpine, Casey Musgraves, who really know how to tell a story with their lyrics. I get super inspired by hearing a great story and like just a really honest perspective from someone. I really love pop punk, obviously. So Paramore and like State Champs, Neck Deep, Knuckle Puck. Those are some like newer pop punk bands. I just love that vibe so much. I love the energy and the attitude. So yeah, I find inspiration now from a lot of different groups and genres, I would say. Real drums or VSTI? So this is kind of asking if I used live real drums on the EP or if I used samples and like kind of fake drums and assembled a performance together. The answer is I used live drums. I recorded the drums myself at a studio in Brooklyn called Voyager Sound. I've been miking, mixing, recording live drums forever. It's just the way I've always done it. And it certainly has taken a long time for me to get to where I am with it now. Hundreds of hours, I would say, of mixing and just like fiddling with mics and stuff. And it's something I'm always learning new stuff about, but I am proud of how far I've come with it. I will say I used some sample replacement. So I used samples to supplement the snare, the kick, and a little bit of the toms too. And that's just how I get the sound that I like. So yeah, live drums with some samples mixed in. When are we getting a full band show? Maybe a little sooner than you think. I would absolutely love to do that. Kind of loosely working on something at the moment, so stay tuned. Who or what inspires you the most? In regards to the EP specifically, I was inspired by a lot of early 2000s music like Michelle Branch, Disney Channel kind of stuff, like Hilary Duff. A lot of like one-hit wonders and stuff from that time period too. I just love that sound and it was something I wanted to have my own stab at, In terms of just general inspiration, like outside of music, I actually really love Disney animation, like Pixar movies. It's a little random, I know, but like, I guess I'm a super visual person, so I always geek out over like camera angles and like how lighting can affect the mood of a scene. But also in regards to animation, I'm really interested in like character design and how the setting looks and the story. I love the story too, if it's good, obviously. Like for instance, Soul, if you've ever, like the wiry people in Soul, I was like, oh my god, that is so cool. Like, how do you think of that, Like on Hulu, I think they had a documentary about like the making of Frozen 2. I watched the whole thing like twice all the way through. I just can't get enough of that stuff. I love seeing the behind the scenes of visuals and art and animation, and it always leaves me feeling really inspired to go and work on my own craft after seeing people work on theirs, that's just something that's super inspiring. But I can also be inspired by like a nice day with friends, that can leave me really full emotionally and want to like sit down and work on something. So yeah, it can be a lot of different things, but those are a few examples. The last question is, what made you decide to be a producer? That's actually a really good question because I didn't really decide to be a producer at first. I kind of got into it naturally. I started recording myself pretty naturally as soon as I started learning how to play guitar. I was just using GarageBand on my family's computer. A few years later, I realized like, wait, if you like mix it and kind of manipulate it, you can make it sound better. I was like, whoa, this is crazy. So I started getting a little more into it. I studied classical guitar at a community college for a year, decided decided that the teachers were too like strict and like stuck up their own ass. I could teach myself how to play guitar. I always have been doing that anyway. So why am I studying it? Decided to transfer to SUNY Purchase. They had a music conservatory where you could pick either studio composition, which is like songwriting, or studio production, which was recording and producing. I had already been writing my own music, so I was like, why do I need someone to teach me how to write music? I don't know enough about mixing. Let me do that. So I actually studied studio recording and production in college because I didn't know much about it and it didn't come naturally to me. And I'm glad I did that because I learned a lot and now I use it all the time. It's made me money because I record other people and produce their stuff. And it's also saved me a lot of money because I produce my own stuff and don't have to go to a studio or don't have to have anybody mix and master it. So I think it was a good decision and it's a cool part of my life. I love producing. Well, kids, it looks like our time has come to an end. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Tom Answers Your Questions. I hope you have a lovely day. Thank you so much for the support and for watching this. I'll catch you on the next video. Like and subscribe, smash in the like button, and or else I'm gonna find your mother.